We've still got our Christmas snow globes going on. I love that. We got to change those, but it's still fun to have them. This is Dave Hernan. He's the editor-in-chief of New Mexico Magazine. I think probably the most read magazine in New Mexico, if I had to guess, right?
Well, our circulation is about 92,000 copies. So some of those out of state, some are in state, but yes, I would say we have by far the largest circulation of any magazine in New Mexico.
That's awesome. And well, people like me send it out. Like my sister lives in D.C. and we get copies for her, especially when there's great local stories on Albuquerque. You know, it means a lot to us.
I love to hear that because we a lot of our subscription file is gifts.
Yeah.
It makes a great gift.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So how did you come to New Mexico Magazine? You were not a New Mexican.
Right.
And you came here, what, 4.5 years ago?
Right.
And how did you end up taking over the magazine?
I was based in Florida that time, and
running a travel magazine there, right?
I was doing a magazine called Caribbean Travel and Life.
See, how do you leave Caribbean Travel and Life? Well, that sounds like an awesome magazine to be a part of.
The recession was not good to Caribbean travel.
Oh, okay.
And maybe not life either, but anyway, that business suffered a lot in the recession.
I'm sure.
Set me on a job hunt, and I picked.
Did you just kind of like close your eyes and hit New Mexico?
No,
or?
I actually had come out here on a sort of a self-retreat to stay with some friends and do some soul searching about exactly where I wanted to live and what I wanted to do with the next phase of my life. And this was number one, and then what
was number two?
I wanted to live in a smaller environment. I wanted to live in but a sophisticated environment.
New Mexico meets that.
Yes. So I was thinking, about towns, not New York, Washington, L.A., San Francisco. I was thinking more like Santa Fe, Boulder, Austin, although that's big now. But small to mid-sized places. Right. Had a lot going on.
So a lot of us in Mexico, we really look at New Mexico Magazine. We love the photography in it. We love the writing in it, and it is it's the state magazine. It comes through the state tourism department, and that's a huge responsibility. But of course, those of us that grew up here, we have a little bit of a different, I think, take on what it is than people come from out of state. What was that? Was there a culture clash? Did you find that it was easy to find those gems in New Mexico?
I think it's sometimes can be easier for an outsider to come in and see things with fresh eyes and see what's new and sort of be enthralled, in sort of the original, sense. And then for someone of my kind of journalism I do, New Mexico's just keeps on giving. I mean, it's just a super interesting state.
Oh, right. I mean, everywhere you go, there's something pops up that's mind-blowing.
Right. I mean, between the history, there's just more of it.
Right.
It's still available. You know, everything hasn't been paved over and glassed over, and it's not overdeveloped. And
we're still full of characters. There are characters all over this state, right?
You cannot turn over a rock in New Mexico without finding a story or a character, or,
somebody who hasn't made an impact, right?
And you mentioned the photography too. It's just it's a beautiful state,
right?
And there are a lot of great photographers here.
Absolutely. Well, the magazine's been known, I think, as long as I've been alive. It's been known for its photography.
It's a great tradition of representing the state and its beauty.
That's it. Well, I want to talk to you specifically about one story that you guys just put together. It was about Albuquerque's resurgence.
Right.
And it kind of dovetails with what Stacy Sacco and some of the other folks were talking about this morning, because Albuquerque in the startup world is really becoming a force.
Yes,
and
it is.
A lot of people are really they're starting businesses. The economic development department's doing a lot here.
Right.
Santa Fe's starting to see a lot of that too, especially in the tech scene. How did you guys come to that, and how did you realize this was a story you wanted to tell for New Mexico Magazine?
Well, I went to an event last year called the ABQID Lift Pitch Contest.
Oh, ski lift pitch.
Yes, which is a great idea. Instead of the elevator pitch, you do it on a ski lift. And there were venture capitalists and business leaders who were judging the quality of the proposals that they heard on the lift. And then just opened my eyes to this world of innovation and everything from sort of lifestyle stuff to very high tech kind of stuff that we wouldn't write about in New Mexico Magazine. But we're not going to write about biotech nanotech and that kind of stuff. It doesn't dovetail with the lifestyle of the state, which
is a little bit of a deep dive.
Right. But there was a business there that the people that won it were Taos Mountain Energy Bar guys.
Those guys are so much fun. They make energy bars like granola bars, essentially.
Yeah, they're
in Taos, and they're a growing company. And they beat all the high-tech companies.
They beat out the high-tech guys, and I just thought that was a great story because, for us, we're looking for the intersection between the recreational assets, the natural assets, and then the lifestyle, and then in this case, the opportunities for economic development that are capitalizing on that, and then helping to grow sort of brand to New Mexico, right? Because they're taking Taos Mountain Energy Bars, the ethos of that, and spreading it throughout. They're in 1,500. Outlets stores already. They're like a $5 million business in 5 years, and they've opened up.
It was just like two guys in town.
It's a couple ski bums who said, "What do we do now?"
Right.
And so it's just a great success story that is emblematic of what is happening in a lot of different places and realms and individuals and companies in New Mexico. And then ABQID is an incubator that's based here.
Accelerator,
So then I saw this kind of ecosystem happening wherever I looked, because it's certainly happening in Santa Fe. It's certainly happening here in Albuquerque, and we cover the whole state. We're coming from Silver City, Las Cruces.
Well, what we're seeing here is the entrepreneurial spirit, and the growth of that was kind of the story of 2015 in New Mexico in many ways, because not only here, but Las Cruces has the Arrowhead Center.
Yes.
Santa Fe's growing with its, there's the new spot there in the rail yards. The name escapes me right now, but.
There are several entities, handful of entities. You have the educational institutions, the government institutions,
and they're all
civic institutions, and they are forming an ecosystem that's very supportive for individual, makers of whatever, artisanal products or artistic products. The whole DIY movement is now becoming like a DIWO movement, which is do it with others.
Right.
And there's a support system and there are networks for it to happen. So,
quickly, what's coming up in next month's New Mexico Magazine?
Next month's New Mexico Magazine is a little bit of a return to form with our more traditional subject matter. We have the winners of the photo contest, so we're talking about the photography. We'll have plenty of that. We'll have a story about small town, what's happening in small town New Mexico in Artesia. They imported a huge mural from Houston to build their library around it. So we're telling a few more traditional stories, but we're keeping with the movers and the makers theme. We're talking about more of the artisanal food makers that
speaking our language here on the Morning Brew with artisanal food and artisanal coffee.
Yes.
We'll be back in a couple of seconds on the Morning Brew with friends. We got the final cup coming up in just a couple of seconds.